Well, aren't you just an odd little child? Koko-Di Koko-Da. Now, in this film, we see a husband and wife are grieving because they lost their daughter. Fast forward in the future 3 years, they're still grieving, and they decide to, you know what, they're going to go on this camping trip, spend some time alone in hopes that they can rekindle their relationship and their marriage and hoping to move forward. But unfortunately, a group of misfits come out of the woods, very odd group of misfits, and start terrorizing them and put them in a time loop, and now they're dying over and over and over again. Now, Koko-Di Koko-Da was a film I originally saw in Fantastic Fest, but I'll admit I wasn't in the right mindset. I was a little sleepy. I liked it, but I was like, I wanted to give it another shot because I heard a lot of people were loving this movie and I couldn't really recall most of it. And since it was playing again at the Chattanooga Film Festival, I was like, you know what, I'm going to carve some time and rewatch this one. And I'm glad that I did. This movie played a lot better the second time than it did the first time. I got a little bit of what it was going for and didn't just get lost in the weirdness of it all because let's be honest, this movie is very, very weird. And I understood a little bit more about this film. I think some of my issues with it still reside within the film, but I do think that this is a very fascinating Swedish horror film that is definitely worth checking out. Mainly, for one, because it's so weird. How it utilizes time loops and the characters, and these characters of villains, they are so weird and such characters that it is very fun to watch them when they come out. Also, they use a little bit of animation in this thing, and that was really cool as well. There's a lot of really cool aspects about this movie that makes this movie a very fascinating watch. I will say though, I think the time loop thing is probably my least favorite thing about the movie, because at times it just gets a bit repetitive, which is a fault that a lot of these time loop movies have to overcome. And I don't think this movie completely overcomes it, but I get what they were going for in a sense that the way that this time loop happens is also in a lot of ways how grief in our life, you know, how it feels very repetitive. We wake up, we do the same routine, then the grief hits us, and then yada, 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 yada. I get that and how that breaks us down, but then after a while, it just kind of got a bit stale. And I will admit, though, there's a really great sequence in the snow, and I liked how a lot of these scenes are shot in these enormously long takes, and I like that they used a lot of natural lighting, and the music is very, very fascinating. If you're wondering why this movie is called Koko-Di Koko-Da, well, there's a nursery rhyme that plays throughout this film, and well, the lyrics are Koko-Di Koko-Da, and I loved how they did that in this movie. There's just a lot of things I really, really liked, but the few issues just kind of really bring the film down, and I just wish that by the end of this movie, it kind of bit a little bit harder. It just didn't hit me and bite me, and the way that I felt like it did for a lot of other people. Like, I know a lot of people really love this movie, and I wanted to share my thoughts because I love horror films about grief. I myself struggle with grief and have issues that stuff like that. And I like that this movie did it in a very weird sort of childlike sense of wonder, but creepy as in the same way. The word for this movie is weird. It is a weird, bleak movie, but it works. Overall, Koko-Di Koko-Da is this weird, bleak experience that takes two people and explores the power of grief. It gives you some very odd, creepy villains, a very catchy nursery rhyme, and a really good cat jump scare. I wish the ending kind of bit a little bit harder, but I like just how odd this movie was, and I definitely think it's worth a watch. As the score goes, I'm going to give Koko-Di Koko-Da a 3.5 out of 5. So you guys, there you have it. That was my review for Koko-Di Koko-Da. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this movie. This is a very fascinating film. I could see people all over the spectrum. I'm kind of just in the middle with it. So until next time, you guys, I'm the Slash Movier, and you guys have just been slashed.